We are indeed live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talk Talk Live. We are here. We are back. Let me get on my full cam here on my YouTube channel. There we are. And we are back. We are live. We are live on Talk Talk Live. Thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Talk Live. Yes, we're back for a new week, my people. Thank you very much for joining me. Yes, let me angle this thing down just a little bit so I can catch my lovely face. Believe me, that's not foreshadowing. Anyways, thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Wearing the sweaters right now. Make sure that my mics are up and at them. They are up and at them. Ready to go, ready to play, ready to say hello. Right back at you with Talk Talk Live. You know, I was at, I hope you had a great week. Hope you had a great weekend. Just an extension of the weekend. I was out 3 days this weekend. Friday, I had a birthday party for a family member. Saturday, I had another outing that my girlfriend brought me out to, that she usually frequents. Shout out to the people who are at Passion on Saturday night. And thank you for joining me on Talk Talk Live on that night. And then Sunday, I was at Junior Jones for his Collins Ave party. And that's usually, that was a great time. That was a really, really great time. Shout out to Junior Jones. Junior Jones, the man amongst men. I think the key holders to the city in terms of promotion. But there are a few who are on his tail, hot on his tail. People like my man, the Bandit, and also Jester. They're hot on their heels. But again, I think right now, it is still Junior Jones to be the king of the city, and I hope he guards it well. But thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live. But shout out to my man Ian Andre Espinay, who's making a comeback. He is making a comeback. But again, it was long in waiting and long in coming, and I wish him well on his future ventures as well. And to all the promoters that are out there, you know, I shout you out because you're doing good things for this city. So thank you for joining me on Talk Talk Live tonight. We are back. We are live in the studio, live at the bar. Thank you very much for joining me. Shout out to all my people in YouTube and on IG. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for shouting me out during the weekend. I got a few shout outs for the show, a few kudos, a few things on the back. So we're getting out there. We're getting noticed. We are getting noticed there, which is quite the fun thing anyway. So again, I thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live tonight. And thank you for the shout-outs. It's really cool. It was really, really cool. But we're going to get into this topic, which is not so cool. It is not so cool, a topic to speak on. And it is a topic that largely goes silent in many avenues and in many ways. And that is the topic of male domestic violence. No, not the domestic violence that you know, but the domestic violence that often goes unreported. And that is domestic violence on males by females or the male partners, but mostly females. It seems that this is a problem that is ever pervasive, especially in this new society. And what brought me to my attention? Well, actually, let me say this. Thank you for joining me on Talk Talk Live, sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com, DUNTALK.com. New spring summer line out now. I'm wearing some right now, so there you go. And it is at Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. So we're going to get into it. Yes, domestic violence. And females, and females being the aggressor. Females being the ones to inflict the violence on men. It is happening more often than not. And, with women, having, a greater place in society, and women literally taking liberties, thinking that they're single, independent, I don't need no man mentality can be taken to the streets. Now, usually guys don't strike back. We usually cower and boo-hoo, and I'll give examples of that here. However, more and more these days, women are getting a lot more violent and a lot more violent with a lot more damage being inflicted upon men. And I think it goes to show that there is, number one, an emasculation of men going on. But number two, I think women are gaming the system to their advantage, unfortunately. and they're taking advantage of their you know superiority in terms of in criminal law and in family law, and especially when it comes to issues of domestic violence and the fact that men are expected to man up in terms of violence inflicted on them, because men are seen as the stronger, more dominant, sex. So again, a lot of women, you see this as an advantage because again, if domestic violence is usually reported, usually it's the man that is assumed to have been the perpetrator of the violence. When that is indeed not the case. That is indeed not the case in many circumstances, whereby statistics show that of domestic violence cases, 1/3 of those are provided by men, and many of those domestic violence are unreported because of the stigma attached to male violence. Men do not want to know that their wives are beating them up, that their wives are inflicting damage on them, to a point of men being deleted from the census, literally. And it's becoming more of a problem these days, unfortunately, to a point where men are dying due to domestic violence inflicted by females and using deadly force, including gun violence. But what sparked what piqued my interest in this subject is something that we'll go to right now. So if you're with me on YouTube, you'll be able to see it here on Talk Talk Live. So we're going to go to my man Arakko. Now, Arakko is one of the bigger YouTubers out there right now, especially when it comes to short TikTok content and giving his commentary on said things. And the one thing that came to my attention was this actual story here of a woman who inflicted domestic violence on her partner. And again, this is one of these gym girls who who've had a bit too much in terms of testosterone and decide to take that testosterone out on their male partners. And I'll just go into the story right now. Thank you for joining me on Talk Talk Live on Live Gene YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Let's go.
So we got another juiced up lunatic on our hands here, fellas. This woman goes by the name Gabby Fortune. She's got over 200,000 followers on TikTok, and apparently she likes to beat the shit out of her boyfriend. This is what he had to say.
And bro, I debated talking about this for a long time. And the reason I'm going to talk about this is because, I thought about it, and if the roles were reversed, I'd be in jail, or I'd have my career ruined. Yeah. So I was like, this... I'm going to at least just, spit the truth, nothing but the truth. Dude, it's hard, bro. Just going back on, mental health and shit. As a man, you're supposed to kind of just, silence and, shut up. Yeah. You're a man. You say anything, you're a pussy. We ended up breaking up for a couple reasons. We're not even going to get into the cheating, bro. And who it was with. Because as you know, that is the most out-of-pocket part about it. I also got rocked, bro. I got schmacked, bro. I've never been in a toxic relationship before, ever. This was the first girl that I let myself fall in love with. The second that I got my ass beat, and I got a couple fucking right hooks thrown at me and a busted lip and a kicked down door that next day. Long story short, fellas, if your girl is cracking you, don't put up with that shit. I mean, the second that happened, I was out.
Yeah, he's right. If the roles...
There it is, guys. A woman who, if you see it on Talk Talk Live on YouTube, is clearly filled with some sort of performance-enhancing drug. Clearly, and she decided to take on, and all of these performance-enhancing drugs are derivatives of testosterone, quite simply. So she's had a bit of testosterone. You can see the wider shoulders, the traps that are developed. Now, to a guy like me, no problem. I wouldn't see that. I would be a harder mark, to be fair. But to a gentleman such as this, she saw, and a lot of these ladies, unfortunately, just like gentlemen, they pick their victims. They see a man who's a bit smaller than them that they can handle, and they would want to go toe to toe with. and they choose to inflict their form of violence on them. As he said, she cracked him with a few punches. She has kicked him a few times. She has kicked down doors to try to get at him because she saw him as an easy mark. Let it be said, if this was a above average gym dude, this wouldn't be happening. It literally wouldn't be happening, and she wouldn't be trying these things. But again, in these certain circumstances, these victims pick the attackers pick their victims because they see them as smaller, they see them as easier to handle, and they go at them. And quite simply, she saw a mark and she took it. However, this man stood up, and credit to him. He stood up and told his story, and to the potential embarrassment of having his story be told in public, because again, men don't tell these things. They don't want people to know that women have beat them up at home and have threatened their lives at home and are not kings of their castle. And once that is the reality, men try to cover this up. They don't want these sort of truths to be known to other people, and men suffer in silence, and they suffer not only physically but also psychologically, and it becomes a dangerous issue that goes for the most part, as I've stated, unreported. And it emasculates men to a point where, men either stay and take the punishment, or are forced, or women can kill these men through violent means, or they commit suicide. It's not out of the question for these men who are actual victims of these women to commit suicide, because they don't see any other way out, and the stigma is so rife within society for men to, to take it like a man, and to be and to not be a victim of violence to their women. That they rather stay in silent than be like this gentleman and tell his story. So shout out to this gentleman for telling the story. Let's continue.
Reversed, he'd be in jail, and respect to him for having the balls to come out and say this, because a lot of men feel too embarrassed and ashamed. Now, of course, apparently she's denying all this and she's saying he's making it all up, which is why I've said to you before that you need to take pictures or videos so you've got evidence. Luckily he did. Take a look at this.
This is Gabby. Not only is Gabby a domestic abuser, but even worse. When Gabby's ex-boyfriend Josh caught her at a party cheating on him with another woman, Gabby locked them all three in the room together and proceeded to make Josh do some things that he made clear he didn't want to do. When he complied, Gabby put her hands on him. When other members of the party heard this, they came in to help Josh. Recently, he has for the first time came out about this publicly, and now Gabby's saying he made the whole thing up. Well, here are all the receipts. Here's Josh's face after she hit him. Here is the door that she broke down the next day to get in the house. And here are the text messages from her admitting to the abuse and saying he didn't deserve what she did to him. Gabby, you can say whatever you want, but here's the proof. Let's let the people decide for themselves.
This woman's still making
So again, this is a content creator, ladies and gentlemen. This is a woman that has taken a considerable amount of PEDs and has inflicted violence on her ex-boyfriend to a point where she literally cheated on him ad litem, at her leisure, with not only men but women. She has forced him into sexual compromising positions that he was totally against. That's how far it went. But again, these women, like men, choose their victims. I mean, if she was running into a me or to a gym bro who clearly wouldn't be having it, then she wouldn't. Then all these sort of issues wouldn't happen. But again, she wanted a smaller guy, a guy who lacks self-esteem, a guy who may be a bit introverted, and to be her boyfriend so that she can kick around. And that is not funny. That is never funny. No man or woman should be laying hands on each other, period. Quite simply. And it's a problem that is growing by the day, by the week. But this is a YouTuber. This is a woman who has this is a YouTuber. This is the person with, money at stake and a reputation at stake, and she's she's well known on YouTube and also on TikTok and other platforms, and she is a male abuser. She's a well-known male abuser, and the receipts are there to be shown for all to see, and that's not cool. That is definitely not cool. Not cool at all. No matter how many drugs you take, no matter how much of a man you see, you do not want to. And again, she wouldn't be inflicting this violence on a man who is bigger than her. No chance. No chance. She chose her victim, and she was quite liberal in her abuse of him, both physically, both mentally. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Although she denies it now, of course, she would not fess up to it. The receipts are there that she did indeed do these things and that she should be brought up on charges, period. But again, police forces around the world don't usually take these issues as serious, which is a problem. But let's continue.
I'm saying she's not taking any accountability. As I said, she's saying he made it all up, even though there's picture proof. Even when I go on TikTok and I look it up, there's only the guy that I've just shown you talking about it. No one else is really talking about it. But we all know if it was the other way around, there'd be outrage and he'd probably be in jail.
And that is the truth. I'm just going to get away from here. Thank you for Rocco for bringing that to my attention today, because this is a topic I had to focus on today. And the fact of the matter is, I'm just going to go back to my mainstream here, going back to my full cam. The fact of the matter is, this goes unreported. It goes unreported. This is the only guy on TikTok, on any social media platform, talking about this abuse. If the roles were reversed and the man was beating on this woman, you would hear no end of it. You would literally hear no end of it. It would be on every podcast. It would be newsworthy. It would be on news channels. It would be... the feministas would be out in force. Where are the feministas now? When a man is the victim. When a man is being abused. Two wrongs don't make a right, people. It's as simple as that. Two wrongs never make a right, especially in this instance. I'll tell you what. That woman... Well, she chose her victim. Let's say that. She did. She chose her victim. She chose the man to be a bit small in her, a bit more svelte, someone that she can handle, and she decided to abuse him because, again, it's the whole Will Smith, the whole Will Smith sort of scenario. Will Smith wouldn't have smacked Chris Rock if he were as big as him. There's no doubt about that. Chris Rock was chosen by Will Smith as a victim. He was abused by his wife, a much smaller woman, but decided to take it out on a smaller man because you can't abuse women. That's the similarity we have here. If this were myself or a bigger man of any size, she wouldn't be doing that. She wouldn't be kicking down doors. She wouldn't be forcing him into sexual experiences that he didn't want. She wouldn't be doing nothing of the sort. But again, these victims are chosen by these women. And they skate by because of the fact that they are women. Because there are no women's groups there that are going to come after them and seek them out. There are no. Police are not going to go out and seek out these victims unless they write a report, and even then, they don't take it as seriously as domestic violence frequented upon women. And it's not newsworthy. Who is willing to tell this story? It's a caption for some sort of statistic to be reported on the news. Other than that. Right? But again, we live in a more egalitarian society. This should be reported. This should be put up. This should be put out for consumption. This woman should be locked up. She should be locked up for domestic violence. She should be. She should be locked up for rape because he was a victim of rape. But The stigma against men in society is so rife that she can skate by on that. Thank goodness to Araco and the gentleman featured on the program here who have reported that, who have put her on notice that this is not okay. Let's continue. Back to it. We're going to get into... Oh, shoot. Let me get back here. Let me get back to the browser. Yes, there we go. We're going to get back to the browser. We're going to talk to... Again, a gentleman here. Oh, let me see if I can go. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yes, indeed. This one little caption here with regard to domestic abuse against men is accepted. Quite simply, it is accepted. And I found this on, again, one of these TikTok memes. Anyway, so we're just going to get into this right quick.
Makes sense. If you go to Google and type in "my wife is yelling at me," the first thing that pops up is going to be a prompt telling you that you need to talk to her calmly, talk about how it makes you feel, right? Seems normal, right? But then if you go to Google and type in "my husband is yelling at me," boom, domestic violence. First thing that pops up. So it only counts as domestic violence when a man is yelling, but not when a woman is yelling? Make that make sense, because I'm confused.
Make that make sense. Make it make sense, people. See, a lot of women aren't going to talk about this. They'll talk about their own, the violence that happens to them, to themselves. But when it comes to violence against men, they're silent. They're basically silent. Because, again, it doesn't benefit them. It puts them in a bad light. Where's the accountability? At least this lady here is holding people to account, but it's true. You put into a search for my woman is shouting at me, my woman is punching me, my woman is has stabbed me, my woman has been violent to me. They'll be looking for efforts to kind of quell the situation between the two people. Where if the violence is happening against women, the authorities are brought in almost immediately. People run to her rescue. And that's a double standard. It is a double standard, people. And it must be brought to light. It must be brought to light because there are way too many men that suffer from abuse from women because they know they can get away with it. They know that if there's a mutual affray, that the man is usually locked up. And the courts will usually side with them regardless. But no one comes to the rescue of a man. He has to sit there and take it. That's why I say to gentlemen, never, women they've been taught to be stronger and more masculine by the day. If you've and things are such that women could take advantage of a system and allow for men to be beaten and they can get away with this scot-free. You have got to be, unfortunately, you don't lay hands on a woman, number one, but number two, you've got to be of a certain standard of person that will not allow for the abuse to happen. Either that, you got to have either that, or get this counseling you need to walk away from this abuse because no one deserves it. Get counseling, walk away. Do not stay in an abusive relationship. No. Don't stay in an abusive relationship. It serves no purpose. It does you no good. As soon as you see violence being frequented on you by man, woman, or child, you need to get out of there. Well, child. I wouldn't say child. Definitely women, unfortunately. You have to get out of there. Because quite simply, they can turn around and use that same abuse that they frequent on you. They can turn around and do it. Even a slight shake of the shoulder, which is my usual. You know, if I were involved in such a traumatic event, my usual shake of the shoulder usually quells the argument. Really, it usually stops it. But I usually have a physique that allows for me to stop these sort of things. But a lot of men don't. They don't have that. They don't see a need for it. They don't want it. They just want to be loved for who they are. But they can't be. A lot of women take advantage of their elevated status within the criminal justice, within the family court system. So, men, if you are in that sort of situation, get out of it. But let's move on to another scenario. Well, that's going to be last, because that is definitely one for the books. That one. Let me just move on to Blaze TV and Lauren Chen. Lauren Chen is do subscribe to Lauren Chen. She's a very well-known YouTuber, and she speaks on the subject ad litem. So let's get into it.
.com credit lines are subject to review and change.
Moving up. Let me rewind that back for just one second.
This past week.
Now watch this.
Did just this past week.
Stop it here. We are looking at a woman, say about 5'2", 5'3". Lord knows she's well endowed. You can see it here on YouTube. And you see a gentleman who's about a foot taller than her. He's easily 6'3", 250, 260 pounds. Now, here's the thing. She's in a public space, so she knows that she has an advantage, because if a man were to abuse her, then, she can get the cops involved and he'd go to jail. Quite simply. So he's playing a joke on this woman of getting her a Happy Meal because she's small. But this woman takes this entirely the wrong way. So much so that, it's not. It can be considered abusive. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, women realize that because of their small and diminutive selves, they can get away with this sort of sass. They would. But if you lay a hand on this woman and the man of this huge height laid hands on her, he'd be going to jail right now. He would, plain and simple. Because clearly he can manhandle her, without question. But that's embarrassing. That's emasculating. That can't happen. That can't happen. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I wouldn't be with this woman in the first place. The signs, I'm sure, were there, but he just didn't want to see them. But here she is, getting sassy, getting loud, trying to be intimidating when she's only 5'3". What's the point? What's the point? What's the point in you exactly this sort of violence against this gentleman who clearly could put you in a coma? Now again.
Basically, for anyone who's listening to us on an audio-only platform, what happens in that video is a taller man gets a child's Happy Meal as a joke for a shorter woman who I'm guessing is his girlfriend. Haha, kinda funny, right? Not according to that chick. No. She knocks the tray of food out of his hands, smashes the ice cream against him, all while getting in his face and verbally berating him. And everyone else in the restaurant, by the way, just kinda stands back and avoids eye contact. In response to that video, almost everyone was condemning the actions of that short, angry, loud woman, and a lot of people were also applauding the restraint that this guy had. He didn't reciprocate his girlfriend's behavior, he didn't lose his temper, he just calmly removed himself from the situation and left the restaurant. Although his girlfriend did follow after him, yelling. Now, when I first saw that video, there were a couple things that bothered me about it. Number one, that
I'm sorry.
nobody in that entire restaurant did anything when that woman was accosting her boyfriend. I fully understand that people generally don't want to get involved when they see public freakouts unfolding in front of them, but imagine for a second if the genders had been reversed in this situation. If a man had knocked a tray of food out of his girlfriend's hands, smashed a thing of ice cream against her face, all while yelling at her, screaming at her, do you really think nobody in the entire restaurant would have said anything, would have done anything? I'm sorry, but I have a really hard time believing that's the case. And furthermore, if someone had been there filming this incident of this boyfriend assaulting his girlfriend and then later put it online like this other person did, if the video had shown the girlfriend quietly, sadly, dejectedly leaving the restaurant, being followed by her boyfriend screaming after her to do God knows what, do you really think all of the comments would have been about, gee, it's so great that she's restrained? No. You know the answer is no, and make no mistake, what that video shows is nothing short of full-on assault and domestic abuse. We have a...
What more can be said? Well said indeed. Lauren Chen, well said. That is domestic abuse. That is domestic abuse 101. When you slap a man, when you throw ice cream in his face, when you throw a insults and epithets, and you follow that gentleman out when he's clearly trying to leave the situation, woman, you need to check yourself. You need to check yourself. And the gentleman handled it correctly. Because certain gentlemen wouldn't take that. Certain gentlemen would have had her unconscious at that point in time. And it's only because she's in a crowded area that she can get away with that. Let that be at home. And even then, can a man truly get away with it? I don't think so. Because that will be reported and the man will go to jail. So a man's at wit's end. He can't do anything. He literally can't do anything at this point. So he has to show restraint. But that is male domestic abuse. No doubt about that. Because as he said, if the roles were reversed, not only would that be on social media, so he'll get admonished there, and he'll probably be reported to the police from there. He would have been stopped by any sort of bystander. In this instance, the bystanders stand back. And that's wrong. Somebody should be restraining that woman because she's abusing him. No doubt about that. That is domestic abuse, 101. Let me see if there's any comments here. Nope, we're good. Yeah, it is a very, very, very unnecessary assault there. And women need to check that, because if they run into the wrong guy, they could be, that doesn't care. Look out.
A sickness in our society where so many of us are incapable of, when it comes to relationships with women, acknowledging the fact that men can be victims. And to anyone who's thinking, well, maybe some people in that McDonald's would have intervened if that woman was being more physically aggressive and was at risk of actually hurting that guy, I gotta say, I love your optimism. However, based on other videos that we've seen, I highly doubt it.
One more, she's done.
See, here's the thing about what men are taught when they are young. Men are taught never to touch a woman in a violent way. They are taught that. That is ingrained in our memory. That is ingrained in our psyche. That is ingrained in our DNA. From an early age, don't hit a woman. Because that could lead to your downfall. But when women hit men, they don't understand that a man is allowed to defend himself. Now, in the prior video, and the prior videos, really, the men didn't defend themselves. The men just said, literally, stood there, took it, tried to get out of the situation. And if I were my man in that last video, I would have left her. That would have been the last Happy Meal I would have bought her. The very last, because she showed her true colors. And that was going to happen again. Guaranteed. That was going to happen once again. But in this instance, I'll let you see it.
Oh, he f***ed her up there. She's touching me.
So let me set the scene here. You're in a middle school where I would say strengths between men and women are slightly even. Slightly even. And this woman decides to get into this boy's face. This girl decides to get into a boy's face. And started pushing him around. She's already hit him once. She's already given a warning. She's already given one shot. But she doesn't stop. He's trying to leave, and he's told her not to hit her. Not to hit her again. Not to hit him again, sorry. And he's trying to leave without any sort of further altercation. But she doesn't listen. He's backing away and she's telling him to do it. Oh, and he...
That girl hits that guy in the face repeatedly, and when the guy tries to get away from her, she follows him to hit him more, and no one standing around does a single thing. It's only when, after giving her many warnings, that the guy defends himself, do people finally step in and break them apart. And look, like I said, I get it. People don't want to get involved in other people's business. But if you're more willing to break up a fight to protect a female aggressor than you are a male victim, then you need to re-examine your priorities. And it's
He's right. And this is going to start happening a lot more. Men aren't just going to care anymore, and they are going to let loose. And let me tell you something, ladies. You don't know what it means to be punched when you're punched by a man. You don't want to know. It hurts, especially in the right place, especially if a man who's trained to do it. It hurts. And you can be literally knocked out. That's why men don't usually try to fight each other, because it could lead to deadly force. That's right, deadly. You can die from one punch. In the right place, you can die. So to all those ladies who think, oh, I can take a punch from... You really, really should rethink that. Because men alone don't get... I don't like violence because, again, the repercussions are too great. Many men have already said that if the best thing to do when you are threatened with violence is to run. Literally get out of there. Because you don't want the repercussions. You could die that day. Men realize it. You could die. So for you women who think that you are able to handle such situations, think again. Think again. Because quite simply, a lot of you ladies are taking way too many liberties, and they're starting to and you're starting to poke at men at their more vulnerable spots, and quite simply, men will strike back. Most men won't, but some men will. And those men who wish to strike back, I say, ladies, you don't want the repercussions. So please, ladies, think twice before you go down this road. Because a man is allowed to defend himself. He's allowed to defend himself. And if you are willing to knuckle up, beware the consequences.
Exactly this kind of apathy toward men being assaulted by women that makes it so hard for male victims of domestic abuse to come forward and get the support they need. As the BBC reported in 2018, quote, male domestic abuse victims are suffering a lack of support despite a sharp rise in attacks, a charity said. Police in England and Wales recorded 149,248 incidents in 2017, more than double the number reported in 2012. One charity, the Mankind Initiative, said while a third of domestic abuse victims were men, only 0.8% of refuge beds were reserved for them. The charity would...
Let that be said. Of 100% of refuge beds, 0.8 are for men. 0.8%. The world ain't looking out for men the way they look out for women. That is a guarantee. Especially in this instance of violence.
Which helps men escaping abuse, told the BBC while there were more than 3,600 beds in safe houses for women, there were currently only 20 earmarked solely for men in England, including none in London. And everyone, I want to make it real clear here that this video is not about some competition about who gets abused more or worse, men or women. Abuse is wrong, period. And the suffering of a man who was hurt by a woman or another man is not any less valid, any less concerning, or any less worthy of support than if he were a woman. And I don't want to hear I am flat out not interested in any, oh, this is taking away attention from female victims. No. This is about expanding the conversation surrounding domestic abuse to include all domestic abuse victims.
Well said, Ms. Chang. Well said. All victims of domestic abuse deserve attention. They deserve support. And they deserve to be protected. Whether you're a man, a woman, or a child. Those are reprehensible numbers. 3,600 beds for male, for abuse victims in the UK. Only 20 for men. 20 for men. And she's right. You can't say, oh, what about the views about women? You're taking away from that. No. Women have had so much coverage on domestic abuse. So much so that the laws in most developed countries are so far askew to women. You lay a hand on a woman, a man is usually going to jail. That night. A man is usually going to jail. That night. Jonathan Majors, a very big star who's in Creed 3 right now. They said that he was a victim of male abuse. They were about to arrest him. Until his woman finally fessed up and said, no. I was just trying to make him jealous and such. There was no abuse on that end. But when a woman reports domestic violence, it is automatically taken seriously. When a man does, it's a double standard. It isn't. It just isn't. Men have to suffer in silence. Unfortunately, they do. But again, who cares? Does society care? I don't think they do. In certain captions, in certain ways, that is indeed the case. But this is one of society has deemed this one of the smaller problems in society, and that's a shame.
Period. And what makes me so upset about this issue, because in case you guys can't tell, I'm a little riled up here, is that sometimes when a man is being attacked and actually does defend himself from his female abuser, there will be people who say, no, I don't think he should have done that. For example, check out this video.
Why is she bugging it? Why is she bugging it? I'm going to punch you, and then...
Good on that kid for standing up for himself against that gang of bullies who, by the way, were girls just as big as him, right?
You just want to talk black people. Men aren't taking this garbage for nothing. You withdraw sex, you withdraw attention to men. You only see 20 of men as being attractive. Believe me, there are a lot of men who are going to start flipping out. To a lot of ladies who think that they can just take the piss. If you are not one of these ladies, all the power to you. But it's so... Here again, if you saw it on Talk to Talk Live, here again, you have a woman who's equal to a man in size. They think they can pick on him because they know that if they are hit, they'll be protected. So they'll take a liberty. They'll take a swing. They'll try to push him to a limit until a man just literally snaps and said, to hell with this. Then you see the difference. Right there in that video. Even with kids of puberty age, you start seeing the testosterone and the raw power in men. Women, you do not want to be on the end of a man's rage. Believe me, men don't want to be there. But if you keep pushing buttons, and if you think that a man isn't going to strike back, and you get one of these, you'll see a difference. You will see a difference. But I don't want to advocate domestic violence in any way, shape, or form. Men, men, try to get out of that situation. Try to leave. Get out, get out, get out. Because as we will see, women are going to the next level. And then that level may eliminate you from the census.
Nope, not if you're this one Twitter user who actually believed that an appropriate response to that video was men only care about equal rights when it's about hitting women back. What? I abhor violence. Man hitting a man, woman hitting a woman, woman hitting a man, man hitting a woman, it doesn't matter. It's all awful. However, there is a big difference between hitting someone and hitting someone back. It is not the same thing to be an aggressor in a situation versus merely trying to defend yourself from someone who is actively attacking you. If you ask me, someone's right to defend themselves is not dependent on the gender of the person attacking them. But in our society, not only do we not give male domestic abuse victims the support that they need, we also don't even want to let them defend themselves. You see, it wasn't too uncommon in previous generations that when a wife was getting a little out of line, at least in her husband's opinion, that he would give her the old Sean Connery treatment.
You think it's good to slap a woman?
No, I don't think it's good.
You don't think it's bad?
I don't think it's that bad. I think that it depends entirely on the circumstances and if it merits it.
Or what would merit it?
Well, if you have tried everything else, and women are pretty good at this, that they can't leave it alone. They don't want to have the last word, and you give them the last word, but they're not happy with the last word. They want to say it again, and get into a really provocative situation. Then I think it's absolutely right.
Yeah, that interview is quite the trip. Eventually, though, it began to fall out of fashion for men to casually beat their wives and girlfriends. Thank goodness. And so more and more men began to adopt the phrase, a man should never hit a woman, to express the fact that you shouldn't be physically disciplining your partner. Unless, of course, it was consensual and you were both into that kind of thing. Somehow, though, over time, the valid and important concept that men should not be hitting their wives, girlfriends, and daughters, or again, nobody should be hitting anybody, has evolved into the strange notion that men are not allowed to defend themselves when being attacked by a woman. Of course they shouldn't, Lauren. Self-defense aside, what about chivalry? I'm a big fan of chivalry. I really am, and the thing about chivalry is that it states a man should treat a lady like a gentleman. Ladies do not hit men. Trashy cows hit men, and the chivalric code just doesn't say anything about men not being able to defend themselves from trashy cows now, does it? And to illustrate...
Remember, people, what society wants, and it's shown by the incarceration of Andrew Tate. Society wants stronger women and weaker men. You can see it in media. You can see it in entertainment. You can see it in all types of things, and you can see it in society in and of itself. Society wants more docile males who don't abuse, who don't hit, who don't say boo to a cat, and are very, very much in their feminine. And they want more masculine females. You know, the city girls, the 304s, the gym girls who get doped up on a bit more testosterone than they're worth. Now, again, that's not every gym girl, let me say that, but certain girls take it to a certain level that is abusive, as we've seen in our first example. So that is why women they realize that the playing field is well tipped in their favor. They see a mark and they're going to go after it, just like Will Smith went after Chris Rock. Well, the fact of the matter is, as I said, for now sexist society, and especially when one out of three men are virgins or haven't had sex in a year, and 80% of men are deemed unattractive to women. Men have short fuses these days, ladies. Very short. And if you want to emasculate a man and pick on him and try to abuse him, do it at your peril. Because certain men have nothing to lose. Nothing. And they will snap in ways you cannot imagine. But, again, women can make violence escalate as well. And we're just going to get into that real soon. But I'll let Ms. Chang have one final word on this.
Illustrate how apparently controversial it is to assert that men should be able to defend themselves, we have the article, "This Poll Question Shouldn't Have Been Asked," by Cheryl Moody. Quote, "If a woman hits you, would you hit her back?" An online poll asking this question appeared on an Australian men's rights Facebook page about 2 weeks ago. By the time the poll was deleted, almost 80,000 people had responded. At one stage, 80% of voters said yes, they would hit a woman who hit them. This dropped to 49% as anti-violence activists urged Aussie females to cast a no vote. Personally, the idea that you shouldn't hit someone in self-defense after they've already hit you simply because of their gender seems kind of ridiculous. So to understand that mindset a little bit more, I posted the following Twitter poll. I asked, is it ever acceptable for a man to hit a woman in self-defense? Over 15,000 people answered, with 90% of them saying yes. Although keep in mind that my Twitter followers aren't representative of the general population, and that if you asked random people on the street, the spread would be pretty different. One answer I saw quite a bit was that hitting a woman in self-defense would be like hitting a child in self-defense. I have some thoughts about that. The way I see it, hitting a child, even one who's hitting you, is wrong for two reasons. Number one, they're probably not going to be able to hurt you seriously, and number two, because they're a child, they likely don't understand the consequences or implications of what they're doing. Regarding the consequences of hitting someone, women are not retarded. And I don't mean that as a slur, I mean that in the literal sense. Women are not developmentally dysfunctional. Women, just as well as men, are perfectly capable of understanding what it means to be violent with someone. Namely, that you're hurting them and you're likely gonna get hurt back. And second, regarding the idea that women can't really hurt men, therefore men shouldn't defend themselves, that's some victim-blaming BS. And I'm not here for it. Check this out.
My ex-girlfriend, and she just beat me up because I don't want to be with her anymore. I just called the police on this bitch, and she outside right now. She just cut me, punched me in my nose, but you know what? I'm still a man. I ain't no punk ass man because I ain't hit her back. She bust my lip, she bust my nose, and she cut me and shit with this blade and shit, and she out here. I'm calling the police on you. Get a away from me. Get a from this car, bitch. You crazy, bitch. Look what you did in my face.
Try telling that guy.
Are we getting the picture now? Are we getting the picture now, ladies and gentlemen? Are we getting the picture? Women are becoming more violent by the day because they see that their actions will go unpunished. Literally unpunished. And this gentleman did the right thing. He got into his car, called the police on her. Because she knew that she would face some sort of retribution, but some sort of justice. Because clearly he was damaged if you saw it on Talk Talk Live. Thank you for joining me on Talk Talk Live. Live on IG and YouTube. Sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTLK.com. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But look. Ladies, you got to calm down. You've got to calm down because it's going to come a day where you'll run into the wrong guy and you'll be met with the violence that you mete out. That's karma. That's karma. You'll be met with the same violence that you put out there. And you don't want that. You don't want that. Because if that man in that car wanted to get violent with that woman, believe me, she would not be banging on a window. The paramedics would be banging on that door trying to get her out of there because... But we're not supposed to hit women. But certain men won't care. They won't care. Thank you very much to Ms. Chen here for her insight on this subject. And again, something to be said about this. Something really to be said. But we're going to continue. We're going to move on to Lapeef. The Lapeef Network. Very, very well-subscribed network as well. Shout out to them. They had a quick discussion on why do women expect men to walk away after putting their hands on them. Men aren't taking it lying down. And women are just thinking that nothing will happen to them. Well, the lead attorney, a 20-year family law divorce attorney, has something for you, ladies. He has something for you, ladies. Hold on. No, I'll let him explain. 1 second. Hold on.
You know what else is sad?
You know
Hold
what
up,
the
Jenna.
interesting thing about this whole thing
Yeah,
is?
nobody
Let's
can
move
tell
on here.
anybody.
How y'all gonna make a?
Share
That's not making no.
things that are propagated or pushed as it relates to boys versus girls. Like, oh, that's a girl, don't do this or don't do that. But in terms, oh my goodness, my voice. But in terms of men,
Thank you, Jesus.
in terms of grown men, I don't have enough information to say that because some men maybe don't know how to even treat a woman. Some don't know how to protect themselves. Some do know how to protect themselves and avoid certain situations. Like there's some men who will not go to that hotel room with that woman and he's this famous man. There's some who won't do that. There's some that will. I mean, there's so much variation, so I don't have enough information to answer that properly.
Okay. Lauren.
Wait, can I ask a question, Kay?
Oh Jesus!
Go ahead.
Why are you doing this to us? Go
No,
ahead.
I mean, seriously. Do you think the men in your family were taught how to treat women?
Yes.
Okay, they were. Were they taught how to protect themselves from women?
Yes.
In what way?
Just not even getting into certain situations, especially as Black men, knowing certain things that could happen, things like that. Do you think it's okay if you as a man were not hurt? And I would never do it, so I'm not trying to advocate for people hitting, but I'm just saying hypothetically, if a woman that was small hit you, do you think you should hit her back even though you weren't hurt?
I absolutely.
Remember, this is a 20-year attorney, a 20-year lawyer of the family and divorce courts. Watch this.
Absolutely think I should have the right to hit that lady back. No,
Even if
no,
you weren't hurt?
absolutely. It
Why?
cannot be the case that some 5'3" woman gets to run around and hit every 6-foot man. Like, what world are you living in? Just because you can't hurt, wait. Just because a woman is 5'3" and can't hurt a man over 6 foot means that she just gets to walk around and hit every single man willy-nilly?
No.
Well, there you go.
So okay, so are you saying that it's men's duty to
Jesus Christ, who said the word duty? Are you? Come on,
I'm
Kay.
asking.
Listen, Kay. I'm starting to see what people are talking about. No one said the word duty but you. Like, you're putting words in my mouth.
I'm not.
I
I'm
said what I
asking
said.
you. I'm asking you. Do you?
Well, don't know. Well, ask me then, but don't put words in my mouth
I'm
when you
not.
ask me.
I said, do you think that it's a man's duty to put like a smaller woman in her place if she tries to hit him?
No, it's her duty to keep her hands to herself.
Hold on, wait, because I don't want Kay to misunderstand what the lead was saying. Kay, the way you started with the question, you said, "Are you saying that it's a man's duty?"
Right.
Exactly, Rilla.
So that's a different question. That's why he was saying, "Don't put words in my mouth."
Thank you, Rilla.
That's a different way of asking. So you're saying,
like, Rilla and I are
no
actually
or yes?
listening to the words that are coming out of your mouth, even if you're not listening to them. Like,
Yeah.
I get very offended when people put words in my mouth because I choose
me
my words.
too.
I choose my words precisely.
I feel you. I wasn't trying to put words in your mouth. I was saying, what do you think about that? Is
A
what I'm
man
asking.
should have the duty to make sure that he is protected at all times, and should allow no one to just walk around willy-nilly hitting him, whether or not he feels subjectively or objectively that person can or cannot hurt him.
That's from a 20-year divorce attorney. A man has a right to protect himself. A man has a right to defend himself against abuse. No woman, no matter how tall, even in that second scenario we showed a little earlier today, no matter how tall, 5'3", has a right to smush ice cream, throw French fries, and water at a gentleman and not expect retribution. Those are fighting words. Anybody else Any man doing that to another man, listen, there'll be a lot of furniture moving. That is a fight. You're lucky to get one shot, ladies. That is a fight. A knockdown, drag out fight. And if you're ready to be involved in a fight, ladies, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Men, yes, show restraint. But if a woman is stepping up to you and wanting to throw down, believe me, only if it's of last resort, oblige her. Only if you have witnesses, only if you've been seen to have been provoked. Only if you've walked away, only if there's no other recourse. And you're there to defend yourself, yes. Show her what a man can do. Because these ladies are taking liberties that they shouldn't take. They shouldn't take. They shouldn't take. And it needs to be said. A 20-year attorney has said that. A 6'3", 210-pound attorney has said that. That no 5'3" woman is going to walk around and start abusing people and thinking that, hey, I can get away with this. But it's only as a last resort. If you are like my last gentleman there, who was in the car, who was being attacked literally by a woman, oh no. Only if there's no recourse and you have some witnesses do you defend yourself. Because women, I know 95% of women aren't like this, that will not go after men. But as I've shown you all night, there are certain women who will. There are certain women, sorry, my bad. There are certain women who will take liberties, who will go that nth degree, and who don't know better. And let their ignorance lead before they see sense. And in those instances, you have to defend yourself. Either by shaking them or, in certain cases, laying them out.
Hey, Lead, I have a question. I have a question. So,
and hold on, before I even go further, I do not advocate domestic violence in and of itself. I only advocate self-defense when it's a last resort. Let it be said. I do not advocate domestic violence against women. Only self-defense when that gentleman has been cornered, has been abused, and has no other recourse, and self-defense is his last resort.
take the dynamics of you and Kay, and Kay's 5'3", you're 6'3", a whole foot, and she hits you. What? And you're like, well, you hit me, I should be able to hit you back. What about an alternative? And I'm just asking of a restraint, since you're bigger, and grabbing her ass and calling the police and saying she's right now hitting me. Come here and arrest her for assault, and having it legally on the books that she hits men.
Yeah.
First of all, well, I'll take your second point first. First of all, no one cares that women hit men. When you say legally on the books that she hits men, no one cares. She's not going to get punished for that. So that's not a deterrent at all. Second of all, if I restrain her, if I grab her wrist, there's going to be a mark. So guess what? We're both going to jail.
Oh, you're
right?
super
so
strong.
I am protecting myself, restraining her, doing what you say I should do. And then when the cops show up and see my fingerprints on her wrist, we're both going.
But
And
it's
that's
the
the
flip
best case
side.
scenario. Because
So
what
then
you
what
could
should you do?
But hold on, Kay. Let him finish. Go ahead, Lee.
What I'm saying is your solution is the best case scenario. What
Okay.
happens a lot of times is I could restrain her. The cops show up. They see bruises on her wrist, but they don't see any bruises on me. So now she's free and I'm going to jail.
Right.
And these same cops have probably been raised, especially down here in Georgia, under the assumption that men don't hit women regardless.
Yeah.
That's why it's all messed up on all different levels.
Well, let me ask you this.
And this is where selection of a woman is vastly important, gentlemen. You got to read the signs. You got to see the signs for yourself. You do. You've got to see the signs. If you know this woman is abusive and you see this earlier on in a relationship, don't even bother to continue things. Get out of there. Get out of there quick and fast. Do not let her run riot on you. You need to get out. You need to get out. Because the way things are today, women can skew the justice system to their and bend it to their will. Because they are the less stronger sex. And the justice system the justice system is pivoted toward them. Abuse relief is relief support systems are pitted towards them. So we need to you need to understand that if you're involved in some sort of domestic abuse situation, you need to get out. You need to get out. Quick, fast, to the point. You do not want to be a victim of violence, number one. And number two, you don't want to inflict violence on another because that leads to your downfall.
Because you're restraining, you're talking about holding the wrist. Restraining could be a bear hug and telling her, you know what I'm saying?
Are
but
you serious?
if you, but
Why you guys breaking down?
Y'all gotta let me finish.
The
Y'all
bear
not
hug
let
thing threw me off.
Not let me talk. That was just
But the
an
man is gonna
idea.
protect. They're gonna protect themselves. If the woman out of control, they're gonna protect themselves. In the story.
Okay, please stop and let me talk.
All right, talk to me about the bear hug.
Okay, so I'm not even. That's just an idea.
No.
Maybe,
Listen, you got mad because I cut you off at the bear hug. So fine, finish your point about the bear hug. I'm sorry I cut you off at the bear hug.
I'm trying to finish a sentence. So even with that, but if you hit her, being that you're a foot taller, you don't think that's going to be an imprint more than trying to constrain her, than fight her? And if she doesn't get anything on her, or no, you don't get anything on her because she's not strong enough to do any kind of bruise on you, but you're able to bruise her when you fight her and the police come, who getting arrested? The police, when they come, they're looking at who is more messed up.
There's no
They
telling.
do. When the police come,
There's no telling what's gonna happen.
No. Yeah.
It's
When the police
situational.
come,
It's situational.
no, it's not. When the police come, they examine the woman, they examine the man, and they see who is more battered.
Okay, what's your point that you're trying to
I'll
make?
tell you my point. My point is you. When Lee said, "Well, I'll get arrested because of me restraining her and holding her hands," my thing is you're going to get more arrested if you're fighting her and she has a black eye.
Courtney, there's no such thing as more arrested. That's like being more pregnant. You can't be more pregnant.
It's
Either
not
you're pregnant or you're
necessarily-
not. Courtney, come
Okay.
on. You're
Okay,
taking these
but-
long soliloquies. You don't want people to cut
I'm
you
not.
off.
I'm
But then
giving legit
even JR was like,
scenario.
Even the lead attorney is tired of such scenarios because people We all know where this is going. We all know what happens in any sort of situation. The man is usually going to go to jail. He's going to take a charge. He may threaten his career by being involved with a nasty piece of work. That's why, gentlemen, if you are involved with any sort of female and you see any sort of violent tendencies, you'd be a fool to stay. You need to get out. If she gets loud with you and abusive with you and starts throwing things in your face, you need to get out then. Because I'm about to show you what happens if you don't. I'm about to show you what happens if you don't. Lead attorney already understands any of these sort of scenarios these women throw in their face. It's usually a problem for a man. And let it be said, and I'm sorry to talk about my own in this instance, but let it be said. Usually the more masculine of women would go into these sort of things. And usually who are the more masculine of women? Black women. Yeah, you get white women too, and I've seen certain scenarios here. But you see the lady in the corner there, if you're watching on Talk Live and Mirror Exile, she is sitting there listening because she would not dare go down that road. She would not dare ask those questions. As a woman of Middle Eastern descent, she would not dare. Because she has been taught not only to hit a man, never to hit a man, number one, but taught to be feminine, number two. And usually violence occurs to men when women are in their masculine. When they're masculine. And who are the purveyors of masculinity in women? Yeah, it's us. African diaspora, usually number one, if not number two. Now, I'm not saying indeed that that's the majority of women, but it tends to be those sort of women. The single independent, I don't need a man woman. Who may be a bit bigger, heavier set, but have an attitude and are willing to take it there. Violence from any woman is, violence from anyone is unacceptable, but you can see the signs. And if the signs are there, gentlemen, you need to get out. I was on a little tangent there, but you need to get out. You need to go. You need to leave. Because the tables could be turned to make your life worse. Simply by being a victim. Because they don't see you as being a victim, they see you as being an aggressor by just being there. And that's a problem.
I don't understand what you're saying. No one's you're saying more arrested.
Courtney,
are you
making
sense?
I'm
Courtney,
giving. Are you?
There's no such thing as more arrested
Okay,
for
well,
a man.
excuse that I said that, lead attorney. Okay, that was a misspoke. Okay, so
But you're the
excuse
one
me for
saying
saying
that words
I
matter.
said, what? Okay, and I'm saying excuse me for saying that.
Well, that's why I cut you off.
Okay,
I don't
let me
wanna...
explain what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is that we're talking about now arrest and who's going to get it, fingerprints or restraining her.
It's not
and
an investigation right now.
And calling the police would have, I think, more of an effect than you fighting her, and you're bigger than her and making more bruises on her. And when the police come, they're going to look at you and her and see who's more battered.
You want to know what this
And
reminds
they're
me
going
of?
to arrest the person that has the least bruises on them. Are
Look, this reminds me of a conversation I had with my...
Here's the thing. The police aren't taking score here. They aren't taking score. They'll check in, they'll check her, but they ain't taking score. If they see mutual afraid, you're both going to jail. It's not a sequence. A woman has to be literally scot-free and holding a weapon in her hand for her to be charged with any crime. But if it's mutual affray, you're both going to jail. If a man's trying to defend himself, he's going to jail as well. There's no ifs, ands, or buts here. There's no counting of bruises and bumps. You're both going to jail, and it's all about who are going to lay charges. The man or the woman. With the women having a distinct advantage. Let that be known.
Yeah. He just missing her. He want to bring up everything else but what we talking about in order to try to be right.
What are you talking about,
What
Derek?
are you talking about right now? I know exactly.
I think y'all missing it.
Yeah.
I think.
You know what the interesting thing is about this whole thing, JR, is that the whole thing just goes. And
y'all are missing it, and you trying to, and Kay trying to defend Courtney. Y'all both missing it. She's trying to pick you up. Both of y'all are missing it. Both of y'all missing it.
Ladies,
under no circumstance should a woman just think she gonna hit a man.
That's exactly it.
If they hit the man, it's gonna be up to that individual man whether he responds or not.
Nobody should.
You can't be mad at him in the story. You know what's going on. You know what's going on.
You know what else is?
Okay, we're gonna stop it right here because again, then things get a little frayed, but you get the picture. Women, please, 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 don't go down the road with a man where you think you can take him on. Don't do it. Don't do it. Men will restrain themselves. Men will try to get away from you. But if you corner a man and he's asking to defend himself, you do not want the consequences. But there are certain circumstances. We're going to go to that right now on Talk Live. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live, live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're going to go to a scenario where indeed things get to come to a head. And things get really violent real quick, and things descend into madness. Let's go to this one issue right here. I was going to go to another one, but I think I've already shown another statistic. But this one is the closer. Shout out to my girl, the Crimson Cure. This girl has come on leaps and bounds with me and in the YouTube community over the last couple months. This girl speaks the truth. This girl is a femininity coach. This girl is an author and should be listened to more often by a lot of females because she speaks the truth. She speaks truth to misandrous power. Because, well, let's not go down that subject. Let's not go down that road right now. We're all talking about domestic violence against men. And in this instance, we have a certain scenario where a man is literally trying to get out of a family home where he is accosted by not only his wife, but his wife's mother. And I'll let the Crimson Cure set the scene. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Let me come back. Let me go back to it.
Again, this is what happens when domestic abuse goes too far. It's a scenario, a domestic... let's just set the scene quite quickly. This is a domestic issue at a house, and it was filmed, I believe, by the wife in the household, while her mother was chiming in the background, trying to quote unquote, root her on, and things take a violent turn, and a very violent turn at that.
Uncle, bro, boom. I'm talking about uncle. Shut up.
I'm over here.
You can hear the mother in the background.
Look at him. This is sad case, y'all. He getting his stuff. Look at that. Sad case. As a father. Hey, Jeremy, what is the conversation you want to have?
We good.
Yeah. And your baby in the room? You want to have?
We good. Give me my phone, bro. Don't shut
What is the conversation you want to have?
Again?
What's the conversation? He said, what's the conversation?
The woman's already started on him.
He said, what's the conversation y'all want to have? What's the conversation you want to have?
I'm finna say that. I'm here. She touching me.
Ain't nobody touching you.
I'm gonna send my cousin over here. Do not touch me, bro.
Don't find nobody over here.
Oh, baby. Tell your daughter to keep her hands on me. Tell your daughter to keep her hands on me.
You the one slapped me.
Here we are. They back double team. They're double teaming this man. This is the hyena tag team. Let me come back to y'all real quick. This is the hyena tag team. This is so critical. This is so critical. These first few minutes is so critical to what happens in the next few minutes. This man don't know he gonna die that day. He don't know he gonna die.
You heard her. This man is about to die. This is when domestic abuse goes way beyond the pale. This man is about to die at the hand of female violence. I have a comment by Hair by Glenna. The law should reflect domestic abuse against all genders. There should be a movement to make more public and maybe to make that more public, and maybe more men would feel comfortable coming forward as well. Well, that's right. Absolutely. Thank you very much for your comment there, Hair by Glenna. Thank you very much. But here's the thing. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening for a while. I don't see that happening for a long while. I don't see this happening until things reach epidemic proportions. Epidemic. That means that violence against men, deadly violence against men, happens on a regular basis. That's the only way I can see domestic abuse laws catering to men. Once they have deadly consequences, as we will see here. In this instance, I'll go back to my browser. I'll let the Crimson Cure explain.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine this man's position? He don't know he gonna die. He doesn't know she gonna kill him. She knows she gonna kill him, though. You gonna hear her say it. Thank you, Free Trader. So you right, sister. The video.
Let's move on.
Of her mama.
Let's see where the next thing lies here. Just 1 second. Let me pause this. And I will search out for... Yes, there we go. We'll go a little further down the line here. Here we go. I'll let Crimson Cure set it up.
What she's saying and what's happening. Very critical. I'm going to try to let it play without saying nothing so you can hear it. Thank you. Watch me do better. Say, hey, Miss Cure, because of the alienation, my son and our relationship is not the best. And unfortunately, he is a full-blown son husband. I love him, but from a distance. That's why now I hire security and meet in public places to see him. Thank you so much. And yeah, you got to protect yourself, brother. Thank you so much. All right, we back.
You know what slap me? Hit me now. Hit me now.
I'm
still asking what is the conversation.
Oh man, that's what I'm finna do. I'm finna get up. I ain't really trying to argue. I'm just trying to get my...
No, you want to go tell your family about this, about that. You want to do this.
I'm trying to leave from over here and pee, man. I ain't trying to argue that.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? My man's trying to leave. He's doing the right thing. He wants out of that problematic area. He wants out. Unfortunately, this peaceful, escalating to a violent level scene will take a deadly turn.
Let me take my car key off. Stop. What is the conversation? No, what's the conversation? What's the conversation?
Keep your hands on.
What's the conversation?
Keep your hands on. Don't touch me, bro.
What's the conversation?
Move, bro. I'm trying to get ready for work, man. Go on.
How you getting ready for work?
What is going on? That's all
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm over here doing. Talking about I don't do nothing for the kids. I don't do nothing. I do what I can when I can. But like I said.
Again, the mother is not faultless in this matter because she's helping to escalate the situation. Instead of trying to get her daughter away from the gentleman, she's only there to heighten the disagreement between the two parties.
Hey, don't keep putting me in situations that's not my problem. And then, like I said, this is your family. You supposed to be here, helping, taking care of these kids. No, you're not good because you're not here taking care of these kids.
He wanna go.
A little background here. This is a stay-at-home mother. The father is a breadwinner. He goes out and works and fights for his family. However, the mother of the wife in the background has asked him when he's finished his daily grind to come back, or before he leaves for his occupation. He wants him to come in and do the work of catering to the children, something that his wife could do, but she doesn't. Are you getting me now? Okay, let's go.
Everybody.
Keep your hands on me, bro. Don't touch me again.
Touch him.
Jason, sit down over here. We'll make it easy. Sit down over here. I'm going to do it just like this. Sit down over here.
Ain't nobody finna come over here and do nothing.
Get your hands on me, bro. Stop touching me. Move.
You need to stop.
Again, who's the aggressor here? Let's go. You can hear it. You can see it on Talk Live on YouTube. You can see it. Let's go.
Ain't nobody coming over here.
Stop me, bro. Sit down. Get your motherfucking hands on me, bro. Stop touching me, bro.
Stop.
Stop touching me.
Stop.
You just didn't hear her say this, but like Crimson Cure said, she quickly said, "I'm going to kill you." The wife, the black woman you saw featured in that video, literally told said gentleman, "I'm going to kill you." I'll wind it one more time so you can hear it for yourself. Let it play out.
Jason, sit down over here. We'll make it easy. Sit down over here. I'm going to do it just like this. Sit down over here.
Ain't nobody finna come over here and do nothing.
Get your hands on me, bro. Stop touching me. Move.
You need to stop.
Sit down over there, Jason.
Ain't nobody coming over here.
Stop me, bro. Sit down. Get your motherfucking hands on me, bro. Stop touching me, bro.
Stop.
Stop touching me.
I'm gonna kill you. Murder scene,
Stop. No, don't. Touch me.
I'm going to kill you. Murder scene, murder scene. That's what the wife said. The man just literally wants to get out of the house. And the wife says in retort, "I'm going to kill you." Murder scene, murder scene. And the mother is in the background who was once egging this violence on, now wants things to stop. Make that make sense.
Stop! I'm not open here for this.
Motherfucker gonna keep her hands on me, bro.
Now I'm gonna pause it right here. Unfortunately, the tragedy is coming right up in another minute or so.
Let's just go there.
You heard her.
I heard her. Oh yeah, we heard her. We're gonna go right to the end. Where did she go here? Yes, here we go. Just gonna rewind it a couple minutes so that she can lead into this properly. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on YouTube. We're listening to the Crimson Cure on this deadly episode here with regards to when domestic violence against men and when it really goes terribly wrong, leading to death.
So we left off with her hollering, murder scene, I'm gonna kill you, yeah, B, I'm gonna kill you. That's what she said. We're coming up within the next minute, the tragedy itself. I'm gonna let it play through, so please be aware. Thank you again, H. Lewis. I meant to say black women. I apologize. Okay. I'm going to let it play. So here we go.
Nobody, I can get out my bed for this. Oh, you ain't getting nothing. Everything is happening on me.
Remember, he's trying to leave.
Get somewhere, sit down. Y'all gonna have to stop all this. Cause then y'all wonder why the kids.
using my voice. Serial harassing his now ex.
That's what happens when things are taken too far. That's what happens when society looks the other way. That's what happens when violent females feeling themselves, thinking they're masculine like the next guy, having guns at their disposal, decide to extract revenge on them. They die. Children are left fatherless. A wife goes to jail. And the same negative spiral is set in motion. And this is going to happen a lot more if things aren't done about it. Yes, I hear your comments, Glenna, but this has to be happening on a major scale before things change. But it happens more than you think. When women become abusive, men try to leave a scene, women get frustrated, and they exact said type of revenge. Especially in a population where guns are so freely and easily obtainable. And yet the gray matter of these people who obtain the guns do not number up to even the caliber of their weaponry. Yep. Do you see it now? That's the end to many men out there. That's the end for many a man going forward. Especially when you live in a place like the United States and you have access to guns. Especially when women are becoming more aggressive, more masculine, and feel they can take more liberties. Someone dies. Someone dies. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Can you hear me now? Well, can you hear me now? And yet, as the UK statistics say, of 3,600 beds afforded to domestic violence, only 20 of those beds are afforded to men. $3,600 beds, 20 for men. So you know where this is going, don't you? You know where this is going. more scenarios like this where people die at the hands of women. Men are continually abused, suffer in silence, and end up potentially killing themselves because of female violence. Women, the majority of the women, but some women taking advantage of the system, twisting a scenario to their liking, extracting resources from a man because they judge him to be abusive one time, even when he's defending himself. Yeah. That's it. Now we can all stand like the bystanders in that one scenario where, a 6'3" gentleman is being confronted by his 5'3" girlfriend and look in awe and amazement and shock at what's happening here, but do nothing about it. Or you can do something about it. It's on you now. I charge you, the population, to see if this sort of violence stops. Because in certain scenarios, there's only one end. And it's what I just played for you just a couple of minutes back. No violence is good violence. None. And you ladies better realize that there are real consequences for your actions. This lady's in jail now. In jail. Life over for... They'll try to dumb it down to a manslaughter charge, but she ain't seen outside for another at least 10 to 20, if not 30 years. And what was the point? What was indeed the point? Ladies and gentlemen, I charge it upon you to find a way to expose this sort of violence upon men, because it is a silent killer. Very silent. And until we bring this to light, until we step in, until we step forward, nobody wins. Nobody wins. And we can do something about it, but we can't treat it like it's a game or nothing to be involved with or nothing to be embarrassed by. And hear the plight of these gentlemen. These gentlemen are out there. They're out there. They may be members of your family. They may be your friends. Hear them out. Because if you don't, that could be the result. Remember, of all violent victims, 1/3 are men. 1/3. 1/3. And although violence should not be involved in any way, shape, or form, no domestic abuse is good abuse. There is some that goes unreported and unsaid because of stigma, because of ignorance, because of sheer, utter nonchalance, non-caring, It's sad. But the whole segment of men not only have to suffer the travails of being sexless, but also abuse. And it is hoped that with tonight's show, we can bring this to light. And as Glenn has said, we can make the movement more public whereby men feel comfortable to come forward and tell of their abuse. Because as the first scenario showed, as the first example showed, men are truly afraid to come forward because they don't understand. They are afraid of what society has to say about it. And that's a shame. If you see it, speak up for gentlemen, because more and more often these days this is coming to pass, especially with violent weapons being widely and readily available. And gentlemen, if you are in an abusive relationship, get out. Just get out. It's not worth it. I don't care what sort of stigma it attaches to you. Say something, speak to someone, anyone who would listen. But get out. At the first sign, get out. Because you do not deserve that sort of abuse. You do not deserve that sort of woman. And your life could be shortened because of it. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live on IG and YouTube. It was a sobering tale today, but I had to be sober in order to bring that sort of violence to bear. A sobering end indeed. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live on IG and YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow night, God willing. Talk about another subject that is on the lips of many, or on the lips of the few, but must be talked about here on Talk Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Spring Summer line out now. And, yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time on Talk Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Take care. Have a good night. And to my YouTube viewers, thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live. Thank you, Hair by Jenna, for your comment. And, yeah, we look forward to seeing you again next time. More than likely tomorrow. Anyways, but we appreciate you taking the time. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We've got to drop some more videos out there. True. And that'll happen this week because it's long weekend. So, again. But please, have a good night, and we'll speak to you soon.